Artistic Director of the Gullah Kinfolk Traveling Theater. And we have already had a 20-minute conversation prior to coming on live about everybody that we know, about field peas, about Savannah State. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so look, the list of things that you have going on. We know you're a native of Beaufort of the Sea Islands. You're the founder and the artistic director of the musical performing group. What's it called? Gullah Kinfolk Traveling Theater. You're a storyteller. You're a singer. I mean, you're just everything. You're every woman. Tell me some more about yourself and what you got going on.
Oh, Jesus, girl. Too busy, number one.
Yes.
But it's a good busy. It's a good busy. I'm also an ordained minister.
Okay.
And of New Covenant Fellowship Ministries.
All right.
A mother of 3, grandmother of 9.
Okay.
Former educator as well.
I can tell it's all in your makeup. It's how you present yourself. I see it.
Yeah. Was supposed to go to law school. Wanted to watch The Young and the Restless. I guess because I was young and restless.
Young and restless. And you like this Chancellor.
Yeah. Well, I had a crush on Snapper.
Oh.
At the time. But anyway.
Snapper.
Yes, ma'am. But eventually came back after I graduated. I graduated from Howard, came back home. Was supposed to go to law school. I told my mother, give me 2 years and I'm going to law school. In the meantime, I started teaching and fell in love with teaching. And the rest is history. I co-founded a group called the Hallelujah Singers. We were in the movie Forrest Gump. And I was with that for about 10 years. And then I left the group and started Aunt Pearlie Soon Gullah Kinfolk almost 30 years ago now. 30 plus years now.
Wow.
And so haven't looked back since. What we do is we bring Gullah Geechee history live through musical theater.
Okay.
We produce several CDs, DVDs, movies. And so, in fact, we just finished filming our latest musical called The Gullah Experience During the Revolutionary War. And South Carolina ETV was down Friday and Saturday. And so we got that filmed.
How was that experience?
It went well. And so they have to go through the editing process and all that kind of stuff. So we'll know, I guess, in about a couple of months when it'll actually be up for folks to view.
Okay.
So, God has been blessing. And so we're grateful. We're grateful. We had an opportunity in 2019 to go to Sierra Leone, and we did a documentary over there with South Carolina ETV called Gullah Roots, and that's, oh my God, that has been broadcasted all over the world.
I think
showing the connection, showing the connections to Gullah Geechee people in Sierra Leone being our direct ancestral link to Africa. So God has, like I said, He has just allowed things to happen that I could have never imagined having an opportunity to do. And so we get to tell our story, our way.
Yes.
For everybody.
Very important.
Yeah, right. And so, for a long time, our audience didn't look like me. My audience didn't look like me at all.
Right.
Because we had been taught for so long to be ashamed and to hate our own culture. So it had to be an unteaching, then a reteaching for us to really appreciate the value of our Gullah Geechee roots. And I was fortunate that I grew up in a family that we were never taught to be ashamed of it, but to embrace it, to love it, to showcase it, to be very proud of it. And so my parents were very involved in the civil rights movement. So I'm Black and I'm Proud was all in my veins from birth until now. So my grandmother, we watched Tyler Perry and play Medea. My grandmother was a real Medea.
I think we all
She,
have a deer in our
yeah,
family.
yeah, yeah. She
Yeah.
was a single mom,
Hmm.
and she took no prisoners,
Yeah.
and so yeah, and so I've been fortunate in that way to have that legacy of ancestral pride, and not in an arrogant, haughty, prideful way, but
Hmm.
just to appreciate the strength of our people going through the struggles, but giving up was never an option.
No,
Failure was never an option.
no,
And
not
so,
at
and yeah.
I think
Mhm,
what I love about what you're doing is that you teach about the strength of our people.
mhm,
You teach about not only what we went through, what we're still going through now, and how we
mhm,
are still persevering. I think
mhm,
that it's interesting that what you're doing is about the last Christmas before the Civil War. And I think that that's something that people would not have really thought about.
mhm,
And I'm glad that you're shining a light upon that.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
I think when I was looking, it says the Christmas wish was freedom. And then
mhm,
that kind of goes into watch night, which a lot of
mhm.
people do
Right,
not know about.
right.
So it's you're bringing the culture, you're bringing the history, but you're also bringing it in a way where people enjoy seeing it as well.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm,
especially through song, through our beautiful language.
mhm,
Bless you.
mhm.
Because when I was coming up, when you spoke Gullah, when you spoke Geechee, when you spoke, oh, you're splitting verbs, you're doing this, you're doing that, and it was frowned upon.
Oh,
But
yes.
now,
Mhm,
now I tell everybody, I said, now everybody Geechee.
mhm,
Everybody. I said, it's okay. Everybody should embrace it if you are Geechee, if you are
mhm,
Gullah. I appreciate that, but I think that the newer generations, they have to know more about our food ways, because
mhm,
if we don't carry on these traditions, as far as you being a griot, if they don't know about these stories,
mhm,
it's going to be lost.
mhm,
And I'm so thankful that you're here. Your group is just able to, take this further. But I
mhm.
do have one question. I hear that y'all do a rice cook-off. Tell me
Yes,
about
ma'am. Yes,
that.
we do.
That's dear to my heart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. First of all, rice was one of the main reasons they came and got us.
That's right.
And what our young people and people around the world need to know, it was because of that ingenuity.
Okay.
And it took a lot of skills to be able to produce rice in the amounts that was produced on these plantations in South Carolina, that
Hmm.
made the plantation owners in South Carolina, rice plantation owners, some of the richest and wealthiest people during that pre-Revolutionary War period. So much so, the rice itself was worth its weight in gold.
Carolina
And
Gold.
so when you put the wealth that was produced on those rice plantations here in South Carolina,
Hmm.
that wealth was greater than the other wealth that the other 12 original colonies put together. That's a lot of rice,
And that's a lot of money.
a lot of
And
money, and it
that's a
took
lot of money that should be
a
had.
lot of us to
Yes.
produce. And you're talking about taking swampland that was looked at as wasteland and
Hmm.
turning those swamplands into gold mines,
Right.
and having to clear that property off by hand. You didn't
Hmm.
have no modern day cranes, um, what's called backhoes or anything like
Right.
that. This was
Right.
all done by hands, sweat, and tears,
Yeah. I
with
got.
water moccasins and alligators, mosquitoes,
Yeah.
marsh rats, all of that. In the midst of all of that, they
Yes.
were able to take and clear off acres and acres and acres of swampland, then build those dike systems that would
Hmm.
be able to dry when you needed it to be dry, to hold the
Hmm.
water back, when you
Hmm.
needed it to be flooded, to let the gates open to flood. It had to be a certain uh, salt levels, and so you had to
Yes.
have that that what they call the trunkman that would be able to taste that water to see if it was too salty or not salty enough, because a whole crop could be ruined.
Could be
So,
ruined.
and that those were specialized skills. And so they paid a higher price to bring us in from places like Sierra Leone because we were masters there. And so um, they were specific about where they wanted us to come from because they wanted us to have those specialized skills. So when they start talking about America, making America great again, really,
Right.
but you want to send us all back.
Right.
We are the greatness of America.
Right.
So yeah. So yeah.
As far as rice, I got a chance last year to go to Riceboro during that
Mm-hmm.
midway, and
Okay.
I got a chance to pick some rice at Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Fleming's farm through Chef BJ Dennis.
Okay.
I went
That's
down
my
there.
buddy. That's my little
You
fella.
know, we call each
My
other
play
BJ.
son. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. So I got a chance to go down there, and when I tell you the emotions that I had in that rice field, because I said, Lord, my ancestors were out here toiling,
Mm-hmm.
and I had
Mm-hmm.
on rubber boots. So
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have all of that. I had on protective gear. I had gloves. I was, when I think about what they did to plant all of that rice out there, and like you said, the engineering process, because you can't just throw some rice out there and it grows.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It's just something to make you think, something to make you proud, and something to remember. I brought quite a few home, and I gave some to my nieces and nephews because I was like, look, this is where we come from. Do you understand this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just something that rice is something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okra, um
Okra.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okra.
We brought
And
those seeds. We brought those seeds on the slave ships. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
those are important things. I always like to ask people when they call themselves foodies. I say, hey, do you eat okra in your gumbo? And they're like, no. I say, you're not a real gumbo eater,
Yeah.
because okra,
It ain't gumbo. That's right. Until
it
you
ain't
put that
gum
okra.
until
Mm-hmm.
you put the okra in it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always a little thing that, I say in jest, but
Mm-hmm.
I do firmly believe that. So I am gonna come to y'all's rice cook off because
Okay.
um I want to taste it all. Like, we know that jollof rice is the mother of all red rice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and we know other places have cook-offs. So I'm
Yeah.
always down for a good rice cook-off. You will see my face in the
Yeah.
place with
And
that.
and Amadou will be there. He, in fact, when I met Amadou
Mm-hmm.
back in 2000, let me see, okay, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the Native Islanders celebration on Hilton Head, in February. They have a whole month-long celebration.
Okay.
And Amadou was one of the panelists on
Mm-hmm.
this panel for the African diaspora. And I came to open up the event with storytelling and song and a little history. And he and I started talking. And so we exchanged numbers. And I said to him, I said, you need to come to our Christmas in it, And he said, I'll be there in November. I said, November? He said, yeah. He said, I'm coming. He said, do you know Joe Apollo? I said, sure, I know Joe Apollo. Well, Joe Apollo is a white anthropologist who had done a lot of studying and helped to make the connection between Sierra Leone and especially South Carolina and Sierra Leone Islands. So anyway, we got to talk and exchange numbers. And maybe about 2, 3 months later, at that time, my grandson was 2 and his sister was 5, and they were fighting over my cell phone
Mm-hmm.
and accidentally called Amadou. And so I hung the phone up. I had a flip phone, so I just closed it, once not realizing that they had called somebody. And so the telephone rings up. Did somebody just dial my number? And it was
Mm-hmm.
Amadou. And we
Mm-hmm.
started talking again. And they came here to St. Helena. And that first, and he had put out the clarion call, and maybe about 200 Sierra Leoneans from all over the United States. And Charlie Hefner, who's like the counterpart of what I do here, who's from Sierra Leone, he
Mm-hmm.
was also brought in. And what we planned, and it was after we started talking about the rice connection, we were
Mm-hmm.
going to do this rice luncheon. as part of, and it was Penn Heritage Day celebration in November.
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought in women to do the jollof rice, and we had our local Gullah women doing the red rice.
You're right.
And it was such an awesome experience to see that so many of the same ingredients were used. You know, God loves playing dot to dot. He loves connecting dots. And so it has just been such a tremendous bond between us and Sierra Leone from, even beyond, we knew that there was a connection, but that sort of solidified that rice, something as simple as rice, solidified that bond and let us know that we are really, really family in so many ways.
Food really connects us, and so it really does. You know, I think I was reading a book that was called The Rice Connection, and it's just amazing to me how, just like you said, the similarities in how they cook the rice, the dish, the red rice, the ingredients, and I mean it to me is, I don't want to say it's just crazy, but look at how that tradition has just come down. Just that one thing with rice.
I tell you, you can't say you had a rice experience in South Carolina or Georgia if you don't have a little red rice.
That part. And I think I was telling you before we got on air, because I do like cultural cooking classes. Yeah, and I said, wait a minute, y'all can't cook a pot of dry white rice. That is what you have to do.
You got that. That's your rite of passage.
Right. And to me too, because I have a lot of people, they're like, well, I can't get this red rice. I can't get it. I said, it's a learned dish. You don't make it right the first time. You got to mess it up a couple of times.
That's right. That's right.
And I personally put mine in the oven. My mama sometimes put hers on the stove, but we also know about the little trick with the paper bag on, under the lid. It's different things, but what I love is just, teaching that part, making it fun, but keeping the traditions going. And it seems like that's part of your love too.
Yeah. I started cooking. I think I was about 3 is the earliest I can remember cooking with my grandmother. She had a 3-legged stool in her kitchen. And I guess I might have been maybe about 4 or 5 when she started me with frying chicken. I'd been stirring pots prior to that. And it was in the summertime because her birthday was in June. So, and her kitchen ceiling was the lowest ceiling in her house. So you can just imagine. And she had a gas cooking stove, and she also had her wood burning cooking stove in her kitchen. And so, so I was standing on her stool frying, and I can see the cast iron frying pan now with the pieces of chicken in it. And I was standing and just under, just my panties because it was so hot. And I leaned up against by accident, leaned up against the frying pan. And so I had this burn mark across my stomach. Girl, I was so proud of that burn mark because I could tell everybody I was learning how to fry chicken.
You will learn. And it's an art. It's an art.
And so, yeah. And all of my, my grandmother, all of her sisters were, cooks and domestic workers. And my grandmother was so funny. In hindsight, I'm looking at her now, and we're talking about over 60 years ago. Never called her employer, Miss Nobody. It was Helen, Winnie, get out my kitchen. Don't you open that oven and make my cake fall. Get out here. I'll call you in the food. I mean, that's how when I tell you, Madea, I'm telling you. And she was about 5'1", busty, full-figured. Everything was always neat as a pin. She starched her underdrawers. I mean, everything was pressed. And yeah.
Water, yes.
And she'd cook. She'd be in there cooking. And Miss Helen's house was right on the water in downtown Beaufort. And it's ironic, it's one block from the elementary school that we integrated. And so I would go to work with my grandmother on Saturdays to Miss Helen's house. And my grandmother would put the roast on, and then she would go out the back door, throw out her crab line with the chicken neck.
That's right.
Catch about a bushel of crab, bring it back in Miss Helen's house, boil it, pick her crab meat, because that's what we were going to have for dinner once she left there. I mean, it's our stories and our lives were so full when, people look at it and say, oh, no, we had a very rich and unique lifestyle here that gave us foundation, gave us that tenacity that, like I said, giving up was not an option. Feeling sorry for yourself, that wasn't part of who we were.
You just picked yourself up and you kept going.
You just kept going. You listen. You exhale, you pass gas, and you kept it moving.
Now that sounded like my grandmother. Like that, yeah. I mean, when I think, I always ask people what was their fondest food memory. Yours is fried chicken. Mine, you talked about the crab. Mine would be devil crabs. My grandparents had a club on Wilmington Island, and my grandmother was known for her devil crabs. And you learn how to pick crabs young. So I can remember the first time when I brought my former husband down, and we were all eating crabs. And Daddy was like, "Well, Gina, are you gonna show him how?" I said, "I showed him one time, like how y'all did me when I was little." I said he might want to go and get something else to eat. I'm not gonna keep showing you how to pick crabs and y'all eat all the rest of it. So I mean, it's a lesson learned. You got to go for what you know. Even like an oyster roast. If you can't get your oyster open, that's on you. You better eat something else. I mean, you're not doing all that.
my husband came down because my husband was from DC. And first of all, I hadn't even invited him to come down because my girlfriends and those were coming down for Thanksgiving. I came earlier. I left maybe about 2-3 days earlier. And so 6 of them came down in a Grand Torino, 6 deep. And my husband was about 6'4". So if you can imagine that. And like I said, I didn't like him. I had just met him like in October. I didn't like him then. Nobody had invited him to come. And one of my other girlfriends that was supposed to come didn't come again. So he decided to take her place. So when they got there, got to Beaufort. And one of the things my mother would always cook for folks coming in was going to be red rice. Okay, with shrimp in it, sometimes with shrimp. Sometimes, if not with shrimp, fried shrimp on the side, and fried fish, some kind of vegetable, be it cabbage, greens, whatever. So my husband was sitting at the table, and my mother came from behind him to set his plate in front of him. And he had a whiting with the head on it.
Oh, Lord.
And he jumped up and almost knocked my mother down because he had never had a fish with the head on. And he's big 6-foot man, And I said, boy, you hit my mama, and I'm about to jump on him. And then I realized, I looked and I saw the fear on his eyes because he's had them eyes looking at me. I'm about to knock you out in here, Negro. So from that time on, I had to always take the head off the fish.
Right.
So, just little things like that we think so, and that's a reminder to people that Black folks are not monolithic.
No, not at all. It's funny, like when I do dishes, I do a lot of red snapper for people. And they said, I don't want to see the eye. I said, I'm going to put a lemon on top of the eye, but I'm cooking the fish whole. And like, what is it? But I guess it's just like, well, I eat goat and all kind of stuff. My daddy and them, they hunt it. So, I've eaten everything. I don't know what I haven't. But I would laugh because one of my cousins, he said, Uncle Lawrence had us out there trying to get the goat. And he said, now get it from the back and hit it in the head real quick. Don't scare it because you're going to make the meat tough. And I was like, you think about all that stuff like it's a joke, but I guess that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the little things, that some of my friends, they said, girl, I never realized you were so country. I said, it's not country, it's just where I came from. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I'm okay with it. Y'all can laugh at it,
Mm-hmm.
but man, whose house do you want to come to eat? You always
Come
want to
on,
come over.
say so.
Right.
Say so.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to come over here. So I laugh at some of the traditions, but I have so much love for that. It brings a
Mm-hmm.
lot of joy. It brings a lot of joy. So, okay, I want to know what else you have going on. I see that you also have a Gullah Christmas Sunday where you worship and explore. So, what can visitors experience when they come over to the congregations in the Low Country? Because it's
Well,
nothing like a
yeah,
Low
and like I
Country
said,
church.
depend on what church you go to. Some are small, some are a little bit larger.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an opportunity where everybody is welcome.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your color your skin is, your nationality or whatever. And most of the churches are very welcoming,
Mm-hmm.
and you ought to feel at home. Your spirit ought to feel at home there. And if not, then come to our church.
Well, there you go. Look, shameless plug your church. I'm not mad.
New Covenant Fellowship Ministries, because we love company.
All right.
And my pastor, she's originally from Trinidad. Her husband, who was our late pastor that passed,
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Givens, he was from Green Pond.
Oh,
Y'all
okay.
a little country. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even get to blink all the way, and you're
You
through
just
it.
a half blink.
And they have my pastor before when he first moved back home from New York.
Mm-hmm.
He came back home and found out that his grandfather's property that had been stolen from
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm.
It was 500 acres that was purchased right right after the Civil War by his great great grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
um, and was passed down to his grandfather. The grandfather couldn't read or write very well,
Mm-hmm.
and was working for this white man. Was giving the white man the money to pay the taxes on his property. Of course, he didn't do that. Didn't pay it in his name anyway, and eventually stole the 500 acres. So when my pastor's father was dying, he
Mm-hmm.
decided to move back home to Green Pond in Colleton County, which is right, the next county right above Beaufort County.
Mm-hmm.
And found out that the 500 acres was up for sale by the bank. Somehow the bank had gotten possession of it. And he went there to get some information on purchasing it, and found out that it was another 1,000 acres that was also
Oh my
uh,
goodness.
connected to that. He said, well, I want all 1,500 acres.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm going to pay for it in 90 days. And Micah sort of smirked and said, well, okay, you have to put X amount of dollars down for deposit. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't, we get to keep the deposit. I said, no problem. You'll have your money before 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so my pastor said when he got on the property, he heard the voice of God, the Lord say, walk, what do you see? He was walking the property. He said, what do you see? And
Mm-hmm.
he said, I see trees. And the voice said, the gold is in the land. He said, Lord, what do you mean? He said, look again, look and see, what do you see? He said, I see trees. He said, harvest 50 acres of your trees and pay for your property. And in less than 90 days, he had paid for it totally, 1,500 acres. And that property has the railroad tracks, Amtrak railroad tracks run through the property.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it has 2 cell towers on it that even though he's been deceased almost 10 years, his children, his grandchildren, great grandchildren will be making money off of that because
Generation.
those generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's also hunting clubs come on there to hunt. That's just how
Mm-hmm.
large it is. It
Mm-hmm.
has about 4 ponds on it. It has a gator pond, a bass pond, a catfish pond,
My
Um,
God.
just an amazing history, you know. Um, and his great grandfather, the one that originally purchased his grave site, is on there, and he was part of the U.S. Colored Troop. So it's so much history,
So much. It's just
and
that's
so when
late.
people layered. So tell your friends that call you country, tell them you was country before country was even cool.
That's right.
Everybody's saying where your fan at. Where your fan at. Everybody wearing country.
Click it real quick.
Yeah. Everybody wearing country hats and boots and stuff. So
Look,
country is in now. So tell us that you was country before country was even cool, honey.
before everybody's like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Gina, you gonna get a cowboy hat?" I said, "I could just go pick one out the closet." I mean, I have had those. I've
Mm-hmm.
cowboy hats. I mean, I've been hunting. We go fishing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my papa, my mama's father, taught us how to make nets. I mean, come on
Yeah.
now.
Ooh, girl, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just it's not something that I play at. It's something I use. I
Come
act.
on, girl.
Yeah,
Girl,
so
go ahead. And see,
yeah.
that's like, and every time I think of myself, my grandmother, because she used to make the shrimp nets and the crab
Mhm,
nets,
mhm,
and even when she died January the 2nd,
mhm.
and she had, you know how they put the nail in the dough jam, the hole, and the nail was still there with a partially made net.
Oh,
And so, yeah, she did that. She
mhm.
did all her jams. She didn't buy jellies and stuff. She
Yes.
made all of her jams, all her preserves. Because in her backyard, she had like about 3 or 4 pomegranate trees,
Ugh,
fig
that's so
trees,
good. Yeah,
um,
figs. Yeah, my
uh,
grandmother had
pear
figs.
trees, plum trees, all that was in her backyard.
Mhm,
Two- I would say 3/5 of her backyard was a garden because she had
mhm,
fresh flowers always in her house, cut
mhm.
fresh flowers. I don't remember her buying vegetable out of a grocery store. I
Yeah,
must have been grown, married, and back home before I remembered her. We didn't buy seafood. You
never.
you caught your
And
own
then we
seafood.
bartered stuff.
That's
If
right.
I gave you peaches or shrimp, you might give me
Hmm.
okra or whatever else. I
That's
mean,
right. That's right.
I, I think it's so funny too. Like during COVID, everybody just started loving plants. Well,
Hmm.
I am still caring for two of my grandmother's plants. She passed in 1980. My mother was caring for them. So now that my mom's deceased, well, I've been caring for them too. And I'll take a couple of pieces off and root them and give them to family members.
Hmm.
And my grandmother was just known. She had the greenest thumb. She was 5 feet,
Hmm.
little
It,
lady.
it
Cook,
must have been
grow.
something about them. Just that was it. That
Just so
must have been it.
little.
'Cause all them
Yeah,
grannies were just
they were so little.
mhm,
And
feisty,
yeah,
feisty.
little and feisty. And
Hmm.
I mean, I think because I'm trying to work on a cookbook as I'm doing all these other things too. And
Hmm.
so I've been talking with some of my cousins, like, well, what are some of your best memories, about grandma and papa? And I think one thing that we talk about is how she could take something and a little bit of something and make it
Hmm.
something so grand, so big.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we talked about how she could take one chicken and almost feed 8 or 9 people. My God,
That's
how
right.
can you chop it up that
That's
much?
right.
That brown stewed chicken,
Hmm.
you might
Hmm.
have it over rice. The next day for breakfast, you had it with grits.
Go
You know,
ahead. Uh-huh.
so it was that kind of stuff. It was that you had buttered bread at every meal, and we had sliced tomatoes and onions at every meal. You had a plate, and that's what you had. And I think back now, I said, well, I guess it was to stretch stuff out, but it was also people were working harder. It was more physical, so you had to have your vegetables. You needed that little starch, that extra starch. And my papa said it wasn't a meal unless you had rice. So
That's
yeah, we
right.
got rice for breakfast.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what we do. So
Yeah.
it's the things that what I want to convey too is we don't have to always have stuff. we have to carry the traditions on, but you can kind of put your own little spin on it,
Mm-hmm.
your own traditions, so you can keep passing stuff on. But at least let's keep some things pure so it's authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. Let's keep it authentic and put your little spins on it. But I'm so excited about this holiday season, so I can actually get to meet you in person, because now I feel like I've known you,
Mm-hmm.
so I got to at least touch you and hug you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yeah, and
Yes.
get to get to be around you.
Mm.
I just want to know. I was looking through some of these questions and stuff that it's like I could talk to you all day. I want to know, like, what's your favorite rice dish? Is it like a perlo? Is it because you know I'm a red rice girl, but man, if my grandma could come back one day and just make me some oyster perlo.
Girl, shut up. Oh my goodness.
You were about to say that?
I'm telling you, because I have a recipe. I've
Mm-hmm.
tried it. It tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
But it still ain't grandma's.
But it ain't hers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Uh,
just it's certain dishes that you like. Oh, they could just
mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
like,
and then it's hard to find like rind, the bacon with the thick rind on it. Because you got, and see, some things, like I tell folks, like uh, Sunday dinners, it was like, this one doesn't eat pork, this one doesn't eat
right.
meat, this one doesn't eat that. And I told my son, listen, this ain't Burger King, have it your way.
My mom would
Yeah.
say, "I am not a short order cook."
Girl, I was cooking 2-3 different pots to get everybody. And then this Sunday I'm cooking this way. And then that person don't shop. I said, you know what? I'm gonna cook my pots the way I want to eat it. I only
Right.
cook on Sundays, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
my granddaughter lives with me and she's vegetarian vegan now. And so Sunday is for about me.
I don't blame you.
so
I don't
and so
blame
anyway, but I mean, it's something about good bacon to start those pots off with.
you. It's really the foundation to every
Mm-hmm.
meal. And
Mm-hmm.
my niece likes to tease me because, of course, I have my bacon grease jar.
Mm-hmm.
And so she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Well, are you gonna put the bacon grease in it?" I said, "What you think I got the jar for?" "Yeah, I'm gonna put it in there." I said, "That's gold." And
Yeah,
so, I mean, it really. What don't you start? Even when you do shrimp and grits, don't you
that's
start off
it.
with a little bacon in
Come
there?
on. Come on. Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, even with your red rice, don't you start off with the bacon,
Mm-hmm.
bell
Mm-hmm.
pepper,
Mm-hmm.
onion, little celery? I'm
Mm-hmm.
is the bases.
Mm-hmm.
That's the base. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I mean, I try. I've been trying to eat a little better, but a little bacon grease ain't hurt
But
nobody.
let me ask you this, honey. What better is in the eye of the taster? Because a lot of folks, and I'm and listen to me good. I don't, people with high blood pressure and all that kind of issues.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
a lot of folks stop with this and they don't do this and they don't do that,
Hmm.
um, and find out that they have the same health issues.
That part. I just feel like it's
Um,
moderation.
yeah, I think everything can be done in moderation.
Hmm.
Um, the level of physical work that our foreparents did
Yes.
with the same so-called quote unquote whatever they say is bad eating,
Hmm.
they still live to be 100, 110, 111.
Yeah.
My grand aunts, the last two that died, they were in their 90s, still raking their yards, still living, washing their clothes,
Hmm.
cooking, doing everything. It was only maybe the last 6 months to the last year of their life that they had to have. But up until that time, they were still doing everything. My
Hmm.
aunt was 93 years old, still raking her yard and bagging up the leaves.
And that's that good.
With grandkids in the house, sitting down watching her rake the yard.
But yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I mean, I think that to me, that's part of grounding that we don't really
Mm-hmm.
anymore. The children are always doing this on the phone. They
Mm-hmm.
get outside, they don't touch a tree, they don't get the feet to feel the grass under their feet,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just certain things that I think that we really need to start back introducing. And I know a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are now, because things, are changing, and they're understanding that we really have to get back to some of the basics.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as I can draw breath and move around, I'm always gonna have me a little something planted out in my backyard. And I may not get to rake up all the leaves I want to, but I'm gonna go and prune and help do some things outside because I want to keep, I want to feel that. I want that tradition, you know. But you know, my mother, she was like cutting the grass for a long time. I said, Mama, let's just get a yard person to do some of that. She said, but Gina, I enjoy it. I like being outside. And we
Yeah, that
need to,
sounds like my baby sister. Yeah, she loves
yeah,
it.
yeah. You know, we need to feel that and to
Mm-hmm.
embrace it. I just I think what I really want to start doing is I did some cooking classes with children, and
Mm-hmm.
just the joy that they have because so many people are not teaching their children just
Mm-hmm.
how to set a table, how
Mm-hmm.
to even boil an egg. We take things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend, and he's like, "Well, are you gonna really videotape yourself scrambling an egg?" I said, "Do you remember the first time you scrambled an egg?" Well, no. I said, "Some people don't know how." So yeah, I'm gonna video everything. The things
Mm-hmm.
that we take for granted, someone may never know how, they don't know how to do
Mm-hmm.
it. They've never done it. And I feel like that's what you bring in too, is bringing
Mm-hmm.
a griot. You're showing people things that they don't know about. You're showing it through song. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
part is just, I think we all embrace music that way.
Mm-hmm.
You show it, that is your art. I mean, how what blessing is that you're able
Mm-hmm.
to carry that part on. I know you have to feel great
Yeah.
when you see yourself, you know, especially in these movies. And
Mhm.
do you ever think that you would be doing that?
No, I didn't, and the blessing for me is when my grandkids see they don't get this whole thing about letting kids decide. If God thought kids could decide things on their own, then he wouldn't have given them parents, and he definitely wouldn't have given them grandparents.
Say
And
that.
so, all of my grandkids, my kids, but especially my grandkids, they all started on stage with me from embryo stage.
Mm,
And so, just on, like I said, Saturday, when we were filming, I had two of my grands and my nephew,
mm-hmm,
uh, the one that dad just passed. He's 17, and one of my grandsons that's 17 and one that's 12. They were part of of the film,
mm-hmm.
So for me, it was great that we were able, but the fact that they were in there. So my
Yes.
12-year-old grandson, because he was on what they call fall break.
Mm-hmm.
So he was with me this weekend. So when we went to rehearsal on Friday night and we were coming back, he said, "Grandma," he said, "when we get ready to do the Christmas show, I want a speaking part too." I said, "You want a speaking part?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Guess what? Grandma gonna write you a speaking part."
Mm.
He's
Oh,
12.
12.
And so my 17-year-old, who's real cool and everything, and I told they live in Brunswick, so I told my daughter, I said, "I need him here, Saturday morning. We're gonna be filming and blah blah blah." And he
Mm-hmm.
came right in. I told him because his older brother was supposed to play the African warrior,
Mm-hmm.
but he ended up having to work special
Mm-hmm.
shift. So he wasn't able to come. So I said, "JJ, go in there." I said, "Here's your costume, put it on." We talking about this is 8:30 in the morning. He putting on his costume. He knew exactly what to do because they had been watching the African warrior scene since they've been embryos. So he
Mm-hmm.
knew exactly what to do to get on stage. Because I tell him, I don't want you playing a part. I want you to become that African warrior.
Become that, right?
And
So
when I tell you, you're guarding the king, you're guarding the queen, you got
mm-hmm.
the dancers, you are the men, you are the war. Immediately went into that scene. And then my nephew came into the rehearsal on Monday because he had sort of taken an absence from the group for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the young man that was supposed to play the scene
Mm-hmm.
e- ended up having to take care. He's the sole caretaker for his mother and father,
Oh,
and
oh.
so he couldn't come. And so I said, "Caleb," I said, I said, "Take a picture. This is what you're gonna do." I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's a letter to the master, so you don't have to memorize it, just like you would be reading a letter to your master.
Right.
That's what he got it on Friday night. Guess what? Saturday we recorded it. And so they've embraced the history. They know the importance of the history. And so when I say to my 7-year, I said, "Would you?" He said, "Grandma, I liked it." And see, a year ago, he that same 17-year-old was playing who was Andrew Young. And one of the plays is called The Dreamers, the story of Robert Smalls and MLK. And so they know. And if I call, I say, "Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to play this part. I need you to be this." It's no question. It's no, "Grandma, I don't want to do it." We don't get to say, "Grandma, I don't want to do it."
No. And I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
the part that is so great, they actually, because we don't come here to when you
Mm-hmm.
are no longer here and you're an ancestor, they can look
Mm-hmm.
back, they can see it, and then they can
That's it.
see that they were a part of it.
That's
And
right.
to
Right.
me, that's what makes it,
Mm-hmm.
all the more special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so last thing, I just want to know, is there anything else that you would like to tell everybody about what your next appearance or what you have going on? What would you like to share as we
Well,
close?
the whole weekend is called the Sea Island Gullah Christmas Celebration. It starts that Thursday on December 4th. We start with the symposium of the cultural symposium again with the connections to Sierra Leone and the Gullah Geechee people, rerouted, remembered, reassembled. And Amadou Masali, who, like I said, has been that, what do you call himself? The African diaspora scavenger. He's been going all over uh, the world, connecting these different pieces of our stories. And he'll share some of that with you. And also, we'll have some sweetgrass basket artists there doing demonstrations. So that's
Oh,
Thursday during the day. And also,
sure.
in between that ending and the show that opens up that night at 7, you can take a Gullah tour because we'll have that set up as well. And then on Friday, that's on Thursday. So, like I said,
And what date is that?
that's December 4th. So
Okay.
that's the symposium in the morning. The symposium is free and open to the public.
Okay.
And then Thursday night is the opening night of uh, Christmas Wish Freedom.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a full stage musical. We have about 40 people on stage. And what we do is we bring to life that last Christmas before the Civil War. Masters in the big house talking about war coming before they let them Yankees tell them what to do with us slaves and the enslaved Africans in the quarters talking about freedom is soon to come. And so it's all that excitement that would have been going on the plantation. First of all, Christmas was the one time that we had a little bit of extra time on. But
Mm-hmm.
but even with that, uh, freedom was always on our minds. And so
Of course.
you had an opportunity to escape because it was so much things going on. So escaping, getting married, sneaking to learn how to read and write because of all the excitement and the masters drinking and the overseer drinking even more liquor than what he had stolen earlier. So all of that's going on. So all
Right.
that comes alive on stage through music and dance and monologue. And then on Friday, they bus in students from the different schools to come in and see an abbreviated version of the play. So we do 3 school shows that morning, and again, the tours are going on throughout the day, and then Friday night, the full stage again with Gullah Marketplace. So we have um, arts and craft vendors that set up their wear, and then all of that's at USC Beaufort campus at the Center for the Arts. And then on Saturday, everything moves down to the waterfront park.
Okay.
And that kicks off at 11. Live entertainment on stage, food vendors, arts and craft vendors, Kitty Village. So while that's going on, we have the rice cook-off. There's a site that's off at the Beaufort County Black Chamber where the different contestants go in there and prepare their rice. So they have from 8 o'clock in the morning to 12. They have 4 hours to prepare the rice.
Okay.
And that pot of rice that they're preparing is the rice that's going to, that they have to prepare right there, is what's going to be judged. They can bring with them samples of up to feed up to about 100 people to taste.
Okay.
They can bring that already prepaid,
Okay.
pre-prepared, but the actual rice that's going to be judged by the judges have to be prepared right there on site.
Okay.
12 o'clock,
So
it
you can't
moves.
get your aunt to make it and then try and
That's
pass it
right.
off as your aunt.
That's right. That's right. So that's why starting last year, we made everybody prepared the part that's going to be judged by the judges, because it's $3,000 first prize, two
Wait a minute,
thousand
I might
second.
have to get in the rice cook-off.
Yes,
Hold up.
ma'am.
No.
It's $3,000 first prize. Second prize is 2,000. Third prize is 1,000. This year we have a children's division.
Oh, that is
We
great.
have a children's division this year. So first prize is 500, then
Mhm.
300, 200, and then $100 for People's Choice. And the People's Choice for the adult division is 500. So
That's
everything is a blind tasting.
mm-hmm.
You choose what you know
That's
what
good.
rice dish you want to make. So
Okay.
like the first year, this is going to be our 5th year doing this.
Mm-hmm.
The first year, I think red rice won the first year,
Mm-hmm.
peas and rice won the second year, a seafood rice won the third year. I can't remember what won last year, and we'll see what's going to be the big winner for this year. So we're excited about that, and
That's a lot to be excited.
um,
That's a
mhm,
full
yeah,
schedule. I mean, y'all have a
yeah,
lot of great things
yeah,
going.
and we'll be live streaming the cooking
Okay. Okay.
from the by Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see, you think you're on the Food Network channel, and
Okay.
so I'm excited about that. And then, like I said, 1 o'clock, the
Mm-hmm.
tasting starts with the People's Choice, and then at 3 o'clock, the judges start tasting
Mm-hmm.
uh, that part of it, and then by 4 o'clock, we announce the winners, and
Okay.
they get their checks. Yeah, so we're excited, and
Well,
so
just make
BJ
sure that
Dennis will be there as our
uh,
celebrity guest chef there.
okay.
And you know, so I'm excited. I'm excited. So and then after we finish up with that at 5:30, the boat parade right there at the waterfront. So you can stay right there. And the
Uh,
boat parade comes right there in front of you. And
uh-huh.
then the next day, we have the church services, and after that, at 3 o'clock, the annual Christmas parade. And the Beaufort County Black Chamber has a family day
Mm-hmm.
with Black Santa and food vendors and cupcakes and stuff like that at the Black Chamber. And you can step out on the sidewalk and view the parade as it passed by. So it's a full weekend
The
starting
full.
from Thursday through Sunday.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
make sure that we get the information so that we can share it, with our followers too.
Yes, we will.
Like, make sure that it is a big success. I want to
Mhm.
thank you for coming on.
Yes.
I can't wait to see you in Beaufort. Although I don't know. I don't know if I had to meet you in Savannah, Beaufort, wherever you are. I'm gonna meet you and I'm gonna see you.
Come
And
on,
maybe
come
we
on.
can sit down. Well, whenever you come to Savannah, you have to come
Yeah,
over
well,
and break.
you come on. In fact, the 17th of this month, we're gonna have. I'm part. Our office space is on the third floor at the Beaufort County Black Chamber of Commerce building,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also on the board of the
Okay.
chamber. And we have a grant through the Mellon Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And this grant is called the Grace Initiative, which is, Gullah restoration, preserving the history, the culture, preserving the land. And so our first event is going to be the 17th and the 18th, and Amadou Masali will be coming
Mm-hmm.
to share
I've
his
met him.
new books. And yep,
Saying the name. I think I met him.
he's been everywhere. Amadou has been everywhere.
I think so.
He calls himself the first self-proclaimed Gullah Geechee Sierra Leonean African man. So
I,
he is somebody
I
special.
You know, when you were saying the name, I was like, I think I've met him. I think I was doing a something at Bilo in Beaufort or Bluffton, whichever one y'all have.
Yeah.
And I think he had a setup there. And it was I did some seafood rice and all kind of stuff. And I remember the guy gave me a Sierra Leone flag and like a bracelet. I'm telling you, I think the guy.
I wonder if that was John Kamara. That might have been
Oh no,
John
no,
Kamara.
that okay, yeah, I think that might have been him. But it's
Yeah,
just like,
that's my little brother John Kamara.
yeah, I was like, wait a minute, some of these names
Yeah,
are kind of
yeah,
similar.
John. That was it. When you said the flag, that was
The
John.
flag, that was him. Okay. See, I
Yeah,
was
that was
like, wait a
John.
minute, all of this is kind of familiar. But we thank you so much
Okay.
for coming on, and you will see me soon.
Okay, baby girl.
All right. Thank you.
That's a promise. Let's make it happen.
It's gonna happen. All
God
right.
bless you. God bless you exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask, think, or even imagine. In the name of El Shaddai, the God of more than enough. Amen.
Amen. I wish the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.